Hey, how's it going? Today is 12th of August, Monday, and we are taking a look at the market, what kind of opportunities we can find. In today's video, let's take a look at some of the government's press releases that will be national significant infrastructure projects, and there might be some updates when it comes to perhaps partnerships. This particular area, when it comes to significant challenges. So the significant means it's a lot of a challenge, right? And time requirements, right? So perhaps process, and if there are any bottlenecks, perhaps those bottlenecks would be addressed. So within this article, this that was published today, the Planning Inspectorate has published its first set of updates, advices pages about the infrastructure planning process. So if anyone's perhaps interested in planning, I can say about the Rome, right? Building all the roads to Rome and all that overall infrastructure in this particular area would be very important, as well as some of those challenges can be some of those projects to be approved. It can take 15 years. So that's Rome haven't been built overnight, right? As well as building that infrastructure would be very important, right? Let's take a look at this article, as well as we can touch on a couple other articles to give a wider perspective of everything that's happening in UK. Just a quick recap, and if we reflect on where we are on the calendar, we just finished week 154. Overall, it's a great week. Productive week, but a lot of sales calls and dealing with customers, I guess. This week it would be 155, and every second day of the week we're going to be doing a lot of marketing and focusing on other things. And we're going to be closing this week by taking a look at government contracts and doing a little bit more marketing. The Planning Inspectorate has published set of update advisory speeches for applicants and all others about range of operational matters under the Planning Act 2008. This advice complements and or reflects recent updates to government updates published in April about infrastructure planning system and explain the introduction to national infrastructure planning guidelines. We are updating our advice collection in these phases, right? So perhaps if I haven't read it yet, right? So perhaps need of people consulting, and or if there's a lot of documents that needed to be filled in, perhaps there would be that would be as well as planning. So if you need to submit a form, and later that form to be rejected, as well as how much time and money would be wasted, and if you need to find a lawyer to submit all the documents for them to be approved, and the prices of a lawyer to submit all these documents, it could be, I don't know, 400, 500 an hour. So that's an issue. I haven't read it, I already know that's an issue, and not that many people are doing it. So obviously there's a lot of issues there, as well as perhaps software solutions, right? Perhaps this organization might be interested in offering software solutions when it comes to filling in paperwork and or filing that paperwork. That would be even better, and some of the software solutions can offer some of those services and streamline the process, right? But that will be perhaps not right now, within the next year or so. Once that's been said, we can take a look at some of the bullet points. Advice for members of the public in 6 parts, advice for local authorities, advice of process for obtaining information about the interest in the land, advice on the process regarding the rights of entry, advice on preparation of submission of application documents, advice on completing the consultation report, advice on the request of change applications after they have been accepted for examination, right? And entire document. So for many people, and if you're interested in launching and or addressing some of these issues within UK, that would be a place to go. And if you haven't done anything yet, there might be some opportunities there. Once that's been said, this part might be very boring for many people, right? That way, pre-application processes and where to begin, and additional information has been published. Let's take a look at perhaps some of the statistics or some of the numbers and how much the infrastructure projects have been launched to this point. So that might be an exciting part, right? We can take a look at ownership of the land, right, as well as ownership of the land that would be potentially where land ends and water begins, and there's a land underwater, right? If that makes sense. So that's called crown estate, and how much of the capital, the perhaps way more actually now that I think about it, how much capital the by crown managed to raise in recent years when it comes to leasing that land for energy production, right? We can take a look at some information. It's something that was published 2023, some time ago. If anything, that's I think what's really important, since a lot of things has changed since then. Since it's not 25% anymore, I think it was reduced to perhaps 15%. So this information might not be up to date and very accurate, right? So let's take a look at responsibilities. I think responsibilities haven't changed. If yourself, if not right now, in the future, you like to lease land which would be underwater next to English islands, right? That's one way to look at it. Or next to UK, next to England, North Wales, Northern Ireland, and North Scotland. How this process could work. That's how the crown estate works. Potentially, we can start at ownership. From there, we can progress to the crown estate. So that would be a management organization. From there, we can take a look at how much of the profit it would be paid, as well as where that profit would go. That would be into treasury. That calculates at the different rates. I think rates was reduced, so there might be more projects, no more opportunities, right? I believe it's about 15%, but I need to double check that and how that capital would be raised, and as well as where that capital would be allocated, right? We can take a look at the different articles that was published years ago and how that capital was allocated. I haven't read this article, it will be more for my own information, as well as perhaps some of these projects that are being set up and who would oversee some of those companies. That would be company is something that's called Great British Energy, and the partnership and ownership of the company, and current CEO, that would be let's keep name, but that would be Siemens UK. So what I believe they have necessary expertise when it comes to wind energy. So not necessarily limited to that. So many things Siemens is doing. That would be originally based in Germany, right? They can do a lot of things, as well as they have necessary expertise when it comes to wind energy and production, and that will be some of the government's goals, and it's something that the government is doing. But let's take a look at capital, perhaps. Let's stick to capital and closest to the end, how much capital was raised and how much of that capital was allocated to perhaps good things. Let's take a look at this article. That King Charles gives back profits. It's not dollars. Someone made a mistake. It should be pounds. 1 billion pounds a year wind farm deal. So we can take a look at Crown Estate and capital that was collected into Treasury. Something that we have learned just now. So how some of this capital was allocated, given back to the community. Let's try to understand, perhaps that will be important. I haven't read this article, and let's read it together and let's try to understand it. How much of 1 billion or so pounds was allocated back into community. King Charles told British government he would like an expand surge in profit from 900 million pounds, right, so that's roughly about 1.1 billion in dollars a year wind farm deal for a Crown Estate to go to a wider public good rather than to the royal family, right? Okay, so it's public good, as well as perhaps there should be more projects similar to this. Perhaps so it's something that we will take a look at, and when it comes to initiating a large infrastructure projects and advice provided. So perhaps there should be more projects and more taxes collected, as well as some of those taxes might be allocated to public good, right? It's something that we're looking to understand. Under agreement announced on Thursday, the Crown Estate will lease sites for 6 new offshore wind projects that are capable of generating enough green energy to power more than 7 million homes by 2030. 7 million? We need to ramp up these numbers. It's not enough, 7 million, but it's a good start. It's a good starting block, right? But it needs to triple or quadruple, as you say, the minimum, right? And more taxes can be collected, and more can be given back to community, right? The leases are collectively worth almost 900 billion pounds a year, according to the Crown Estate financial data, allowing the bidding frenzy for the sites among companies such as all majors. Okay, so there's the potential for investment, right? A spokesperson for Buckingham Palace said King Charles Treasury, known as the keeper of privy purse. Okay. Purse, I would redefine it as a treasure. I prefer saying treasure, not a purse, but that's how I like to discuss things, right? But either way, I have written to the Prime Minister and Finance Minister to share the King's wish that this windfall be directed to a wider public good rather than to the sovereign grant, right? As well as under agreement, the government's royal family receives sovereign grant that covers the running costs of the royal households and travel expenses. It is based on 15% of surplus revenue from the Crown Estate property portfolio belonging to a monarchy, right? So finances, I'm not that interested. I would rather be interested and would be taking a look at how much and where this capital was allocated, since we take a look at giving back to the community. Supporting a lot of families, creating jobs, and or supporting good causes. I think that should be what's might be of importance at now, as well as perhaps some of the sound investments that could be made. We're taking a look at massive sum of money, 900 million pounds. So many things can be supported, right, with that sum of money. But either way, let's close on that. Perhaps taking a look at where some of this capital was allocated, something that was done previously. Things like helicopters and maintenance of helicopters, all these kind of things. So these kind of things do cost a lot of money. But it's not what we're discussing right now, right? So how many things can be supported with 900 millions? How many jobs can be created? All those kind of things. So hopefully there would be more investments when it comes to significant infrastructure projects and streamline of the projects, as well as of now, we're taking a look at only advice. So perhaps the entire process could be it's only 6, so perhaps it should be 12, perhaps 20 different projects to be launched, right? So that's what should be important right now, right? And prices of electricity, hopefully those prices will go down, since everything's very expensive as of now, right? Thanks for watching. See you next one.